Hi, I'm David Levin, and welcome to another indelible episode of Pop Goes the Culture, the untold stories you wouldn't have known from the TV stars who were there. Today, the conclusion of my conversation with Shirley Jones, we get personal as we talk more about Jack Cassidy, the love of her life, and Shirley goes on tour in Europe. How she met her second husband, Marty Ingels, what it was like working with the great Drew Carey, and Shirley talks about going on the Love Boat and going on location. First, just a reminder, if you like what you see, please subscribe. If you love what you see, support Pop Goes the Culture and Ask Them Yourself on my Patreon campaign. Ask Them Yourself is a very cool show we do most Mondays at 9 Eastern, where you can be on the show for real and talk back to me and any guests I have on. Now, my talk with Shirley Jones concludes. Great actor also.
Yes. Really wonderful, really wonderful.
Phenomenal.
And singer, you know, he sang magnificently. I mean, we did 3 albums together, you know, and he was a great singer.
Amazing. I used to watch it. He had the great smile, and
Yes.
I remember the beard and everything.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, yeah.
just always like that gleam in his eye, right?
Oh, yeah. He was a comic. Obviously I'm attracted to comics. I mean, I married Marty Ingels then, you know, who was a comedian, as you know. And everybody said, Jack was so handsome, and he was. I mean, he was beautiful looking. But that was the least of who he was. I mean, he loved comics. We would have, in New York, when Jack was, on the stage most of the time, until toward the end of his life. Then he started to make movies, which he loved. But, he won a Tony Award on the stage, and so I was in New York a lot. But his favorite thing in the world would be, after the show, would meet up with all these comics, Red Buttons and Fat Jack Leonard, and, and just tell stories. I mean, he loved that. So he likened himself to the comics.
How'd you meet Marty?
I met Marty at a, excuse me, Jack and I were separated and on the verge of divorce. And there was an artist that sent me an invitation that she was going to have a display of her art on Michael Landon's lawn on this Sunday afternoon. And she painted children and animals mostly. And I was fascinated with some of the pictures that I saw, and so I thought, I might, because I had my youngest son, Ryan, then was just about, I think 8. And I was feeling kind of blue and everything, and I thought, well, I'll take Ryan and we'll go to this afternoon thing and look at the paintings, because maybe I would like to commission her to paint one or all of my children. Went to the exhibit. It was beautiful, and I'm waiting for my car, just leaving, and of course Marty's just arriving because he's always late, and he was just arriving, and he got out of the car and he bumped into me, literally knocked me over, and somebody picked me up and said, this is Marty Ingels, and he had that funny look in his eye like you see in cartoons where there's a little thing above that says, well, that's exactly the way his face looked when he met me. That was the end of that, and then of course he tried to get my phone number from everybody. They wouldn't give it to him, Crazy Marty and, Miss Cinderella Girl, as they called me. Finally, I think he paid somebody $24 at the William Morris Agency to get my number. And he called me. And once again, he was fascinating to me because of his humor. I mean, that to me, above all else, was the thing that got me with the guy. I mean, it was, even in high school, I remember I went with this wonderful guy that ended up being a doctor. He was a West Point graduate, and he operated on Eisenhower. I mean, he just did everything well. And, of course, I met this other boy at the same time who was a crazy, and I dropped the doctor. And so, obviously, that was my taste. What can I say?
I like the funny guys.
Yeah.
How about Drew Carey? The Drew Carey show?
Yeah, we had a good time. That was great fun.
Tell me about that episode.
Well, I did 3 episodes and played his girlfriend,
right,
which was really fun. I mean, and the fact that Marion Ross was his mother on the show was really hysterical, because we had one episode where the 2 of us were together. And Danny Bonaducci was on one of the shows playing I believe it was his brother or my brother.
Your brother.
My brother, I think. My brother, yeah. And so he brought all those people in, But he was great. We had a good time. It was a fun role for me, At this age, I have to say, I'm looking for interesting things to do as an actress, and that was one for television that I loved, you know, because I liked the show, and I liked him, and again, once again, I like working with comics. So
there's a show that was almost obligatory, I think, in the mid-'70s that everybody had to do, which is The Love Boat.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, of course.
Like?
Oh, it was great. Not only was it great, but you know, I had one of the best times I've ever had in my life. We went to the Greek islands on board a ship, and wonderful actors. Eva Marie Saint was in it. Alexis Smith was in it. Wonderful actors. And we were out for 3.5, 4 weeks. You know, we went to the Greek islands, we went to Athens, Greece, and I mean, it was all done aboard ship, and in these particular places, you know, in all the islands, the Greek islands, we filmed everywhere. So that was an experience. You know,
what are the issues being on location as opposed to just doing a studio shoot?
They at that time when I did the show, they were starting to do really all location, you know, shoots. At least I was told that. So. And that interested me, of course, you know, to have that kind of a really vacation trip. I mean, it was wonderful because we didn't work every day, so you know, it was a paid holiday. It was wonderful, and lovely people to work with. You know, we really had a nice time.
Somebody told me that when you're doing a Love Boat and you're actually on the ship, though, the folks on the ship who are actually paid for the vacations not quite as happy as they might be.
No, I agree with you there. I wondered about that. I remember when we were doing it, because even though they were excited because it was the Love Boat and, you know, they knew the show and liked the show, they were very inconvenienced a lot of the time, you know, because we were shooting when they were supposed to be having dinner, or we were shooting when they were supposed to be, you know, in the swimming pool and with their children and whatnot. And it was not easy for some of the people, you know, that were just passengers and had paid for this beautiful trip.
When you go on location, I guess, and I guess maybe even with the Partridge Show, did you ever do location, or was it all studios?
No, we did location. We went to an amusement park in Six Flags in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah. We were there for, you know, like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
What was that like?
Yeah. It was fun. We had a good time, but it was a lot of people, you know, a lot of crowds. And, of course, with David, you can well imagine. I mean, the kids were screaming outside the trailer every single day, just screaming. And so that was hard. I mean, we had to have a lot of security and all of that. And we did a cruise, Princess Cruise. We did a cruise on board ship. And the Partridge Family was singing on board a ship, you know, going to Mexico or wherever it was. So we did that, and we went to Marineland and filmed a whole episode in Marineland.
So when you're doing that sort of thing, does it take longer? Are people screaming so you can't do your dialogue?
They usually allow a few more days, you know, if you're on a location like that. Yeah, of course. You know, they have to do that.
What was it like doing the dialogue? I mean, could you get dialogue?
Oh, yeah. You know, they would, you know, have everybody sort of, and pick a place where, you know, perhaps the public wasn't going to be there at the time, so.
It must have been fun to get out of the studio.
It was great fun. We had a lot of fun. It was really fun. I remember when we were going to do the segment on board ship, you know, the Princess line, I had a terrible problem with seasickness, and always had. And I was nervous wreck about having to work on board ship. And this would be my first, even on little ships, you know, like I couldn't go on a sailboat, I couldn't do anything. Standing on a dock, I had a problem. I thought, what am I going to do? So I found this hypnotist, and somebody had told me about him, and they said that's one of the things that they can cure, pretty much, if you're a good subject. Well, as it turned out, I was. And I had about 7 or 10 sessions before I had to shoot. And I didn't have a moment of seasickness, have never been seasick since. So it works.
And the good news is you got to go on the Love Boat.
I got to go on the Love Boat. That's right, exactly.
Afterwards. Years later.
That's right.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so it was great.
Have we missed anything?
I don't think so.
Oh, my God.
I won the Academy Award, but we can...
Tell me about that.
That was rather exciting, you know, playing a very different role for me, playing, you know, a prostitute in Elmer Gantry.
Not the mom.
Not the mom, but that role, though, was really marvelous because it gave me the longevity that I've had in my career. Because I'd just been doing musical films, and the musical was over. They weren't making musical films anymore. they didn't sell very well in Europe, and and everybody thought if you were a singer, you were not an actress. They put you in categories. And I was having a hard time career-wise. And I started doing television, which was great. Again, they said it was a step down, but it was Playhouse 90 and Lux Video Theater, all those wonderful dramatic shows. Right. And I did a Playhouse 90 with Red Skelton called The Big Slide, where I played an alcoholic sunshine girl during the 1920s, the Mack Sennett time. And I was nominated for an Emmy, and Burt Lancaster saw the show. And he's the one that called me when Elmer Gantry came about and tried to convince Richard Brooks, the writer-director, that I would be right for it, although Richard didn't think so. But Burt was co-producing, and he called. I was in San Francisco doing a nightclub act with my husband, Jack Cassidy, and he called me. He said, could you come in for the weekend? I want you to meet Richard Brooks. We have a movie called Elmer Gantry, and there's a role in it that I think you should play. And that's how it happened. I flew in to Los Angeles and went to meet with Richard Brooks, the writer-director, and he was not sold on me, but Burt was. Burt had seen me do the Playhouse 90 thing, and he was really sold on it. And I didn't even have to read or screen test or anything, but Richard gave me my little portion of the film to go into another room to read the script. I read it, and I came back, and I said, I'll do it for nothing. It's a magnificent part. And I knew if I got a role like that in a film, it would change the course of my career. And I got it, and it did, It really did. Of course, I won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. And
Don't
then,
just throw that away.
I went on to do other things.
Oh, yeah, by the way. Don't just throw that away. Walk me through the night.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, it was very, very exciting. The actual thing is that I was the underdog to win because I had a lot of competition. It was Janet Leigh for Psycho, and she had won all of the prior awards that they have, the Golden Globe and the Theater Critics, whatever it was. She'd won the other awards. I hadn't won anything. So I was really the underdog, and Mary Ure was up, and Shirley Knight was up, and Glynis Johns. I mean, great actresses. And so I didn't think I was going to win. I mean, I really didn't. I was thrilled for the nomination because I knew that alone was wonderful now for a movie career. Once again, but I had no idea I was going to win. Matter of fact, I hardly had anything prepared to say. And I remember coming in the car with my husband and him writing in the car and said, well, listen, you might. I said, forget it, I'm not going to win. He said, well, I'll write something down. So he did in the car, and and when they called my name, I just couldn't believe it.
Wow. The only thing I can think of because I've been to those award shows.
Right.
All you can think of, or all I could think of when they're reading the nominees is I have to go to the bathroom really badly.
I know.
And I never thought that would be what you would think.
Yeah, right.
I have to go to the bathroom. Just read the names.
I know.
If I win or lose,
I know.
Let me go to the bathroom.
Well, that happened one time, when somebody was in the bathroom when her name was read. I forget who it was, a famous actress. And they had to call her out, and she came running down the aisle.
Those are those moments
I
that
know.
you live for.
Exactly.
I read somewhere that, if I'm wrong, tell me, that you had gotten a script for Brady Bunch, that you were up for that part.
Yes.
Could you tell me about that?
Yes, they gave me the script for the Brady Bunch before the Partridge Family, actually. And I read it, and I wasn't sure I wanted to do a television series anyway at this point, as I kind of said earlier. And I just didn't, the role didn't intrigue me. And of course, it was right after that I got the Partridge Family thing. So I turned it down, so.
And there you were back to back with the Brady
Back
Bunch.
to back with Florence, yeah.
What was up against the Partridge Family back then? Do you remember what your competition was on the other networks?
I can't remember. I don't remember now. No.
And Partridge Family stood the test, though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, those two shows, the Brady Bunch, I mean, they were, back to back, and everybody talks about them, today, and confuses Florence and me, all the time,
Really?
Yeah, it's mostly the names they kind of get wrong, but I mean, because the shows were so, so popular.
Yeah. But, there's a whole bunch of sort of TV moms. Do you have a club? Do you all get together and play Mahjong or something?
No, we do interviews together like this.
Every now and again.
Every now and again, yeah, exactly.
I think we've hit just about everything.
Okay.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about what you're doing?
Well,
today?
I did a couple of movies just this year. I actually just a few months ago. I had an opportunity to work with Adam Sandler's company, and I did this a film called Grandma's Boy with Doris Roberts and Shirley Knight. And it was a very, very funny script, and great group of guys that we worked with. And these were three eccentric old ladies who lived together, and one is the grandma, and that was Doris. And I play this very eccentric old lady who was very attracted to 20-year-old boys, And the other one, Shirley Knight, plays this eccentric old lady who takes medication and keeps it in a fishing tackle box, Very funny parts. We had a great time doing it, just a great time. It's very, very Adam Sandler. It's out now.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I did a Hallmark film, a lovely film called Hidden Places. And we shot up in Peru, and it's a lovely story about a farm family in the 30s that are losing their farm, during the Depression. And I play Aunt Batty. Her name is Betty, but they call her Aunt Batty. And it's a great character, long gray wig, no makeup, and I wear men's clothes. It's a very funny part, too. So
that's great.
I had a good time.
And what are your kids doing these days?
They're all very busy. My oldest son, Jack Cassidy, is a writer-producer. He's got a new series called Invasion.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a great show on Wednesday nights at 10 o'clock. Everybody has to watch. Yeah, I think
right after Lost.
Right after Lost, yeah.
Lead in.
So I'm very, very proud of him, and this is like his fifth series he's had on the air. He's a good writer. He was an actor-singer, as you know. My middle son, Patrick, is out on the road doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat with his whole family. His wife's in the show, and his two sons are in the show, my grandchildren. And they're out for a whole year. I got his dog for a year, so... And he'll be playing here at the Pantages in June for 2 weeks. And he's great in the show. I've seen him in it. My youngest son, Ryan Cassidy, is the only one that isn't married. And he's an art director, set decorator, and he's working on Sean's show.
Oh, very nice.
So they're all busy.
What's it like to be the mom and stepmom of rock stars, of teen idols?
Well, it was not easy, I'll tell you that. I mean, David really suffered a lot. He had to sort of make a comeback. And Sean did too in his own way. As I told them both, Sean particularly, because David I had no, he didn't respond to much of what I said at that time. But I tried to get Sean not to do it because I said, you'll have a short career and then it'll be over and then you'll have to start again. Of course, that's exactly what he had to do, But he's doing very well now.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Pretty amazing.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I hope you had a good time.
I did.
Good.
It was great.
That's it for my conversation with Shirley Jones. Still beautiful, smart, and charming. I'm David Levin. Till next time, please leave me your comments. Let me know what you think of the show. If you can't watch the video version, you can listen to our podcast. And if you're listening to our podcast, you can watch us on YouTube at Pop Goes the Culture. Please subscribe. Please follow Pop Goes the Culture on Twitter at Pop Goes Culture, Facebook, or email me at popgoestheculturetv@gmail.com. And please subscribe to our Patreon campaign. Just a little help from you can keep me doing these shows. Now, please join me live Monday nights at 9 Eastern at AskThemYourself.com, where you can be part of the show for real. And please check out our short BoomerTube videos. And please come back next time. I said please. Hey guys, don't miss a single episode of Pop Goes the Culture, the BoomerTube, or Ask Them Yourself. Subscribe and pop the bell icon so you never miss an episode.